going on, vinyl community? LJ reporting live from southern Massachusetts. Hurricane Sandy storm team coverage. Nah, that's a bunch of bullshit. But hey, hope everybody out there is doing well, and especially folks on the East Coast that are feeling any of the impacts from Hurricane Sandy. As far as the Boston area, it actually hasn't been that bad today. I am uber surprised that we haven't lost power all day, which just rocks. Because let me tell you something, around here in Massachusetts, a mouse farts, and that's the end of the power. Unbelievable. It just doesn't take much at all. But it's been on all day, and what has that meant for LJ? I had to work. Wonderful. Oh well. Anyways, again, hope everybody on the East Coast is doing well. Everybody kind of duck, dodge, stay safe, batten down the hatches. We're all smart people around here. As far as here, we've had some pretty good storm gusts throughout the day. Winds north-northwest at 30 to 50 miles per hour. A few of them have been pretty strong. Nothing that would parallel what Irene was like last year. But still some scary shit. You know, stuff's tied down. Not a lot of rain. It's kind of been sprinkling all day. Hasn't really stopped, maybe only an inch or so. I was talking to Greeno, and he was mentioning it's just pouring like a bastard on where he is. So everybody be safe. This is a vinyl update, and why the hell not? I have power, so I might as well. Might as well, may as well. Oh well. Background action, White Lion, main attraction. Why? Because it's a good freaking CD. Why else? Lights and Thunder. It's a good song. It's what's playing right now. I figured it was more fitting, and it'll only be a matter of time before somebody swipes Rock You Like a Hurricane for a themed video. So here's a vinyl update. Pretty healthy stack of stuff I've picked up over, I don't know, the last month or so. Kind of stuff that's been hanging around. I have a pretty killer metal update coming. Waiting for one more album in the mail in the next couple of days before I shoot that. Some stuff in here from thrift stores, record stores, some upgrade copies, some stuff from Eli, YouTube vinyl community member, NB drummer. And by the way, Eli, Hurricane Sandy prevented me from sending this out today, but she won't get me tomorrow. So your return package headed back out to you, brother. So let's start off first with, here's Yes, Big Generator. This is one of the last couple of Yes albums I was missing. Pretty intentionally, because it can be pricey when it shows up, being from '87, which is right around the death of vinyl. Dare anyone say that? Not a great album. It's alright. Yes has done better stuff. You know, Big Generator really should be retitled Owner of a Lonely Heart Part 2, because they really try to recapture it just about all the way through this record. But the completist in me made me get it. Let's see. Here's an original pressing of the Grateful Dead's Anthem of the Sun. I don't actively seek out Grateful Dead stuff. It's alright. I kind of grab it when I find it, when I see it. But this is kind of neat. I don't know if you can see the, oh, it's not the back cover of this one. It's the other one. Hang on. I'll show you that in a minute. But anyways, Anthem of the Sun, early Dead, pretty cool stuff. As far as the Dead goes, I tend to like anything, my interest wanes in the early 70s. Anything after, like, American Beauty, which is awesome, and Working Man's Dead, which is equally as good. Anyways, let's see, here's Aoxomoxoa, and this is the one that I wanted to show you the back of, because if you can see right down here in the lower right, that pretty well known, but that's a little baby Courtney Love, who would go on to marry, who? What's his name again? Kurt Cobain? And start her own band, Hole. So Dad was a Deadhead from way back when. So anyways, this is a later 80s pressing of Aoxomoxoa, and I didn't even have a trashed copy of this. And there's just hidden imagery all over this cover. I mean, just ovaries and female reproductive parts, right up to, what does it say? We ate the acid up here, if you read it right, Grateful Dead. I believe that's what it is, correct me if I'm wrong. But two cool Dead pressings I didn't have, and the third one, just because I'm a powerless completist and I found it for a couple of bucks, here's In the Dark. This, of course, from '87. This is the one that was a huge smash when I was a kid, with Touch of Grey on the radio. I don't know how often I'll listen to it, but it was near mint, and it was cheap, so why not? You know what? There's actually 3 greatest hits records in this stack, and that's funny because I hate greatest hits compilations. Because I believe the power is in the album track, it's in the sequencing, it's in the vision, it's in what was recorded in greatest hits. Just slice and dice that all to pieces. But here's one I didn't have, and it's an album I absolutely love, and that is The Who's Greatest Hits. I have all their studio releases except for Endless Wire, the newest one, and probably just because it's cheap and readily available, so I ignore it. But Greatest Hits is one that I just love the way it plays from front to back. So I had to pick it up because I didn't have it. Speaking of The Who, Roger Daltrey. Parting Should Be Painless. I grabbed this maybe a couple months ago. Very underwhelmed. Not a great album. I don't know how many plays it's going to get. It was alright as far as a former legend makes a rock album in the 80s. Definitely not phenomenal. And I think a couple weeks later I found Under a Raging Moon. This is actually better. I thought this was a better album. Kind of more in touch. Less 80s-ish. So less keyboards, kind of that kind of stuff, and more what I'd expect from Roger. It's a cool album. I'd check out definitely Under a Raging Moon. Parting Should Be Painless. Just pass it by. Here's an upgrade copy of Big Brother in the Holding Company, Cheap Thrills. Super common, we've all seen this before, you know, gatefold release, Janis Joplin, early stuff. This one's just near mint, and mine was pretty close, but not quite there. So it was cool to find a good copy. Same thing with The Worst of Jefferson Airplane. Again, here I go on the I Don't Like compilations, but this is another one that just, I think, plays pretty well. It has like White Rabbit and Somebody to Love, of course, which, to be honest with you, I think are the worst two freaking tracks on Surrealistic Pillow ever. But it does have Embryonic Journey from Surrealistic Pillow, which I think is its best song, along with Plastic Fantastic Lover. So I think it was $1, so it was an instant grab. Here is 2 Rolling Stones LPs. I'm like this close to completing the full Stones discography on vinyl, within reason, up until the stuff that costs $150. Here's this is Big Hits, High Tide, and Greengrass. I just didn't want to mispronounce it. So this is one Stones album I didn't have. Very cool, gatefold, little book in there. It's pretty tough to turn this up in near mint shape. As far as the Stones stuff goes, the earlier stuff is the stuff that I'm not missing, but my copies are just pretty weak. And I gave up on buying Stones stuff unless it was in just really, really nice shape. I'll wait, I'll hold out. I have it on CD, no rush. More Hot Rocks, Big Hits and Phased Cookies. So I have Hot Rocks. I actually think I have 3 of them, but I just never see this. More Hot Rocks. So it's pretty quick to grab that one. I saw it. It's in super shape, and I think it was a couple of dollars. This one I wanted to show you because it's pretty neat, and because these guys just get an absolute shit rap. It's Three Dog Night. This is Around the World with Three Dog Night, and I have every Three Dog Night studio album, of which I'm the proud owner because they're a really good band. They just did themselves in, and AOR Radio did them in. But this has like the coolest die-cut cover. There's a lot of love and money in this packaging. The way the jackets slide out and die-cut of the band here and also down here. There was definitely some cash sunk into this particular album. And I haven't listened to it yet, but it's live. And I know Three Dog Night has another live album. I forget the name of it, but it pops up all the time. And it's not that good. So I'm really hoping that one is. I think this is the third and the last of the compilations. And this is Best of ZZ Top. ZZ is another band that, excepting their newest, I have every one of their studio albums. I might be missing one. This is on London, and I love the London label. And it's actually a really, really good album. You know, it just spins all the hits. It's not all that bad. Jesus Just Left Chicago I love, and that's on this. What I like about it is it collects everything right up until 77. So that makes it a pretty good release. I started working on rebuilding my Aerosmith collection. At least everything as far as the 70s go, because it's pretty good stuff. And a lot of my stuff is just kind of not in the best shape. So I started working on rebuilding it. I mentioned Eli, NB drummer. He had gotten just an assload of stuff. And he was looking to trade it all, or VCLT it all, or whatever. We worked out a trade. I sent him a list of some things he showed that I was interested in. He sent me back a list. I'll send that stuff out. And some of that which he had, this is a later pressing of Aerosmith's debut album. You can tell because it says featuring Dream On here. Oops. And the original does not. So that was an upgrade of mine. Possibly one of the best ones in the box. And Eli, I was so jazzed about this, is a near mint copy of Toys in the Attic. By far and away, my favorite Aerosmith album of all time. I can deal without ever hearing Walk This Way again, but this is just near stone mint, and it's just such a great album. Such great songs on here, and it's near mint, which is fantastic. I then found I think my mom gave me this, a near mint copy of Night in the Ruts. Again, mine had some pretty significant marks on it. So this was a great upgrade of that. And then in a record store, and I want to say this was in the dollar bin, this is Classics Live. And I never had Classics Live or Classics Live 2 on vinyl. So I was pretty stoked to find that, and I think later that same day, I tripped over Classics Live 2 cassette, so I grabbed it. What the hell. Nice ad. This also came from Eli. This is the Babies. I just got a couple of Babies LPs from Jim out in the Chicago area. So finding another one right away, it's like almost instant Babies collection. Fantastic listen, and it was in great shape. Thank you, Eli. Here's two that showed up. They're not sealed, but they are still in the shrink. They're later pressings of two pretty cool albums, and I have original or early pressings of both of these. First is Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds. Kind of a nice ad for the 60s psych part of the collection. Every once in a while I'll get in that 60s psych mood and I'll rifle through just about, not all of them, I mean there's a couple hundred, but many of them once and then kind of file them away again. And like I said, this and Turn 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 showed up. And like I said, they're in the shrink. You can tell by the nice price they're later pressings, but they're just in such beautiful shape that I couldn't leave them sitting there. Do you know what I mean? They weren't terribly expensive. And I kept praying that the next one was going to be Sweetheart of the Rodeo, which, believe it or not, I still need on vinyl. So anybody that has one they want to get rid of, let me know and we'll trade. Leslie West, Mountain. The first Mountain LP, or first solo Leslie West album with Felix Pappalardi on bass and doing a lot of work here. Felix, rest in peace. This was an album I didn't have because it's just trashed every time I find it. And man, what a stellar blues rock album. This is so damn good. If you like blues rock, Hendrix, that early 70s stuff, you've got to find a copy of Leslie West Mountain. I have a couple other, excuse me, well, Mountain LPs, Nantucket Sleigh Ride, Mountain Climbing. They're both excellent. This is even better. Even better. Just absolutely fantastic. And Leslie is on tour right now. I think Rob from Boston was just telling me that he had his leg amputated, I believe. And they, I think somebody, I don't know if it was fans, all kind of came together and purchased something he could tour in with a specialized lift. And he played in New York City a few months ago and just blew the roof off the place. So killer stuff. Definitely find a copy of that. Oh, 4 or 5. Always embracing my country rock side. Here is New Riders of the Purple Sage, Brujo. I am a big New Riders of the Purple Sage fan when it comes to country rock, but I have to admit this was a little disappointing. It was not that great. It does not stand up in any way, shape, or form to their first 4 or 5 albums. Well, maybe excepting the cover art. That's a pretty cool lizard. And I wish the outside of my window looked like that, but it doesn't because it's full of rain and wind. Here's a country rock album I didn't have. This is the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. This is their debut from, I'm not pulling the record out, 1973. And fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Working on rounding out their collection. I may have a few to go. I'm not sure how many. But just, if you're digging country rock, killer stuff. Killer stuff. Plays great with like Poco, New Riders of the Purple Sage, the Byrds, Sweetheart of the Rodeo, Dead's, American Beauty or Working Man's Dead, all that country rock stuff. Cowboy, killer shit. Here's an upgrade copy. I had this. This is It'll Shine When It Shines. This is the follow-up from the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. Just as good as the debut. This is... oh, this completes the Alan Parsons Project. Yahoo! Stereotomy. Tommy has 2 M's. Stereotomy. I'm sticking with it. And this is pretty cool. What is this? 1985. And I never had this on vinyl. I have everything else they did on vinyl. And I have to admit, this was actually pretty not good. It really wasn't. Do you know what I mean? As far as Alan Parsons goes, when you're weaned on things like, you know, their earlier albums, Pyramid, of course, everyone knows Eye in the Sky, and their earlier stuff, Tales and Imagination of Mystery and Imagination, whatever, Edgar Allan Poe, kind of out there. And then the few that followed it were super. And then they kind of got into the 80s. Vulture Culture is alright, but Stereotomy, and I was stoked when I found it because I had never heard it. and I definitely didn't have it, and I've seen it one other time, maybe in the last 5 years. So it doesn't show up often. So I grabbed it, woo, mine, yeah, done! And it's not that good. Not that good. And last is Jefferson Airplanes, 30 Seconds Over Winterland. If anybody goes back and watches a video I shot sometime last year, Where's My Jacket? Welcome to My Nightmare, Where's My Jacket? I found a ton of near mint records without jackets, and slowly, and by slowly I mean like at a rate of 2 per year, finding the missing jackets with trashed vinyl, and I don't care, I just need the jacket. I've been finding them, and 30 Seconds Over Winterland was one of them. This copy is actually near mint, so I kind of lucked out, which means now I still have another copy with no jacket. But 30 Seconds Over Winterland was recorded at Winterland, San Francisco, and the Auditorium Theater in Chicago. It's put out in 1973 on Grunt Records, and it is a killer. So that is it from me. Keep your eyes peeled for a metal, rock, hard rock, heavy metal. I'm tired of the debate. Update for me in the next couple of days. Just waiting for one more in the mail. Everybody on the East Coast, please be safe, be well. Thank you to all the new subscribers that have linked up and joined. I hope you guys are enjoying what you're seeing, and that's why you're subscribing. Everybody be well. Take care. Ciao.